Bayonetta 3 could happen as a Nintendo exclusive, says someone at Platinum Games. That's someone being the director on the game, Yusuke Hashimoto, speaking to CVG. He said, should the opportunity arise, I'd definitely like to keep nurturing this franchise along with Nintendo. In terms of nurturing the content of this game, there's a lot we learned from Nintendo, and if possible, we'd love to do it again and keep nurturing our child. Also, he shared a bunch of quotes. I mean, we've heard Platinum sort of praise Nintendo before for coming to this game's rescue, and, you know, it was something that Platinum had planned to do, was try and make a sequel, despite, you know, the first game not doing so well. But Bayonetta,
the second game will not do well.
But Bayonetta is an awesome action game.
It is.
I have
it's
to
great.
tell you, it is the best action game I played last generation on console.
Platinum cracks me up. I mean, they always have such interesting games, but it's almost they're you know, have such an indie mind,
I
right?
know.
They make the game they want to make, and somebody might come up and go like, hey, you know, you'd sell a lot more copies if you replace the flying chicken with this
it's just
and this
weird.
and this, and they're like, not
flying
interested.
chicken.
You gotta admire that too, that they stick to their guns and make the games that they want to make.
Maybe it's because we're in the U.S., but like here you don't hear stories like this, right? It's always like a company's like, man, we'd love to do a blow. Oh wait, we're all gone. They closed the studio because the game didn't sell well. Like Bayonetta didn't sell. Bayonetta 2 won't sell. It'll sell less than the first one did. And Bayonetta 3, which is an idea on paper right now, like it's just fascinating to me that they can even be like, we'd love to make this on Nintendo, because it's like, there has to be a deal going on here that makes up for the fact that it's not this, that the sales numbers don't matter like they do for every other company in the world, right?
Yeah, it's weird. I have a soft spot for Platinum because Vanquish is one of my favorite games of last
Oh
year.
yeah, you're a big Vanquish fan.
And
That's right.
they are a special studio, but they do seem, with the exception, I guess, of Metal Gear, their Metal Gear action game, their games just don't sell. And so, like, I'm interested to see how Bayonetta 2 does before they start talking about Bayonetta 3, and if Nintendo would be interested in even giving them more money to publish that, because obviously Wonderful 101 didn't sell well either. And so, you know, this I think is them. It reminds me. I could be misremembering, but it reminds me of the guys that made the Conduit. What was that? High Voltage. They often talked about wanting to do more with the the Conduit, and it kind of convinces people to buy it and give them some time to make even a better game and stuff like that. So it seems like they're making a similar play. If people want to see Bayonetta 3, the Nintendo fans better buy Bayonetta 2 in droves.
Yeah.
And it comes with Bayonetta 1, and you are getting something cool out of that. But you were going to say.
No, High Voltage is it's interesting. They're still around, but of course they're focusing more on mobile games now.
Well, they do ports now, too. They handled the Zone of the Enders port on PS3. And
Weird.
What happened to the Vita version
I
of
don't
that
think it's
thing?
ever going to happen.
It just quietly canceled? Like, they never really officially said anything?
Yeah, I don't think they've actually, canceled. I don't know. Konami, that's up to Konami ultimately what they want to do with it.
The only other thing I think it's interesting about the whole Bayonetta story, and I think Nintendo obviously came in and probably picked it up for Steel, a game that was far along in development, comes with an established pretty rabid fan base, right? We've got people at IGN who are freaking out over the game, want to play it more, and it looks pretty good. So I'd say never say it's not going to sell. It's not going to be a mega hit. It's not going to be a million seller or anything. But Bravely Default was a great example where we looked at a game and we're like, that's not going to do well, and it's like, man, that did actually pretty well, right? And maybe it is having a focused audience with the Wii U and not a lot of software out, and it could survive that.
Yeah,
but I got to think maybe there's also more of a partnership, similar to a Metal Gear game, like another Nintendo franchise that Platinum could cover for Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that this game should go to other platforms, because I think it's amazing that Nintendo came in and did this and said, I mean, it's so strange that it's fascinating and wonderful to me that they even came in and did this. I just think it's interesting to see a company that is, not their game did not sell well on the Wii U. Their next game will not sell well on the Wii U, but they're still committed to it. So that's, for better or for worse, there it is.
That's what I say. I love that. Mad World's like, are you sure you're going to make a black and white game? And it's like, yep.
Yeah.
Really? And on the console that has a family audience, you're really going to have somebody.
I mean, they need the variety, right? They do.
Yeah,
they need other genres. They need to reach outside of families. And also, I just would point out, like, not to underestimate word of mouth. Like, if people do get really wrapped up by this thing, although you hear it happening less and less with packaged software, you hear it more with mobile software, where it just becomes everyone's talking about it on Twitter and everyone ran out and bought it. But I still think that could happen to at least make this sell well enough, if not, again, not a blockbuster.
I was just going to say, I think they're telegraphing also their financial relationship with Nintendo, that Wonderful 101 they probably made money on Wonderful 101 because they don't have to worry about how much it sold. Their game could have sold one copy, and they probably got all their money from Nintendo anyway. So like,
totally.
they're basically saying, like, we want to do more. Let's keep doing this, because obviously their relationship with Konami, with Revengeance, whatever, was also very fruitful for them. So I think one way or the other, Nintendo is very lucky to have. Nintendo is known, and I think it's obviously true to not have good relationship with independent developers, and at least of that pedigree. And for them to wrap Platinum up, basically, it would be a huge move for them, especially as Per was saying, like, imagine if, some purists might not like this, but imagine like a Metroid game that was like Vanquish, or imagine like, imagine like a Zelda game that was in the future that was like, that was like Bayonetta, or like an actually like totally crazy, like just they can take one of those great franchises, turn it on its head, and that studio for their poor sales is actually extremely talented. So
which does beg, I mean, you guys did hear the rumor that Wonderful 101 was supposed to have Nintendo characters in it, and that's why there is a sword power up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a big hammer, like.
I always think of Sin and Punishment when I think about a Nintendo franchise that Platinum should just tackle, because that's just right up their alley, and perfect for them. But it's also not a big franchise. But I think it's a cool partnership, and I think we've heard a lot from Nintendo about bettering their relationships with indies as well. And Shovel Knight, is a great example of that, where they're pushing harder, and I think they're making some guarantees to indies and are saying, hey, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, these are getting the platforms are getting really, really crowded. Have you considered releasing early on our platforms? And we're pushing you and we're promoting you. So we'll see how these games will do.
And if that's not their pitch, it better be.
Yeah.
What you just said. No, I think so. All right, cool. I mean, but granted, this game does well. I want to see a Bayonetta 3. I don't want, like, if Bayonetta 2 has some sort of cliffhanger ending, and then we never hear from it again, it's going to be like the new Shenmue.
Jose, I want to see.
We'll never get an ending to Shenmue.
I want to see sequels to every awesome game ever made. It's just the financial reality stops that from becoming a possibility sometimes.
I'll write you an ending for Shenmue if you want.
I'm sure it's already written.
I won't settle for that.
He went back to Hong Kong. He's getting like little capsules out of a capsule machine.
He got hit by a car.
Hong Kong. He's from Japan.
No, he's going to Hong Kong.
So Mario,
you'll see Shenmue 3, by the way. Like,
you think so?
I'm pretty confident that game will eventually happen one way or the other. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.